Welcome to Startup Knockout. I'm your host, Timo Higgs. Today, we've got a really interesting one for you. I'm actually kind of excited about this. You might not know this about me, but I used to be very heavily involved in the not-for-profit sector, and I have a lot of experience trying to fundraise. And that's why this one is going to be really interesting. Our guest today is Galia. Now, she has created, with her co-founder, a company called CoolBeez with the target of helping charities and not-for-profits fundraise in a way where you don't have to ask your members for money. Game changer. So this one's going to be a really interesting one, especially considering what's just happened with Amazon Smile. You're going to want to watch the whole thing. We'll see you on the other side. Today we're here with Galia Kotova. So she's going to tell us all about CoolBeez, which is giving a massive boost to anyone who works at a charity or a not-for-profit. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Galia.
Thank you. Hey, Timo. Hey, everyone.
So we're going to get going right into kind of the very interesting, very international life that you have lived. You're from Russia, but you lived in Shanghai in China for a good long while. And your first startup was based on WeChat. Now, not everybody here in Europe or even in North America, where some of our listeners are, is going to know what WeChat is. So could you give us a real quick introduction to what WeChat is and why this is so massively important for Chinese everyday life?
Yes, so we have lived in Shanghai for a while, and at that time it was booming with lots of new businesses starting, and we had the wine importation and distribution business in Greater China. And at some point, we started selling wine to private clients through WeChat. And WeChat is basically a messenger, a social network. You can pay your bills, buy tickets. All the brands communicate with their supporters. And basically, a lot of people in China use WeChat for practically handling all their business relationships. As I said, at some point we were just starting selling to private clients through WeChat. We would share a link with product recommendations, and you could do group deals, and you could click and buy and pay. And it all took seconds and was all in messaging. So actually we got used to the simplicity of it and how easy it is.
So China, very interesting place, but then you decided to make the jump and move over here to Germany, and you're now based in Berlin. Give us an idea of what made that decision for you. Why come to Berlin?
Well, for us, it was primarily a family thing, and we wanted to be based in Europe. And we quickly realized actually that for startup community, it would be good to get some introductions and to get into this network. And so we basically decided shortly after arrival to join Founder Institute, Berlin. And it actually was a good step for us to get to know community and start building our network from scratch.
Yeah, the Founders Institute in Berlin is getting increasingly more well known, and I know they've been doing some great things up there. Can you give us a few stories or experiences about how they helped you move your idea forward?
Well, actually, it's one of the probably the largest startup accelerator in the world, and Berlin chapter is run by Ferdinand Mühlhauser, and actually he's amazing, great person, and we're so happy to go through this program together with him, and I highly recommend what he does. So with Founder Institute, basically it's 3 months program with weekly sessions and a lot of homework. And if you have an idea, you can join the program, and they would go you through every step that you need to know. It's super helpful, especially for first time founders. So they would help you to formulate the idea, to explain it to potential customers, to get feedback, then they would have several different mentors from different areas of expertise who would guide you through and give you lectures on product marketing, legal, financial, business model, growth, all different stages that you need to go through. And uh, basically, if you manage to survive until graduation, which is not easy, then at that time you are more or less ready to go.
Yeah, I've heard this more than once from startups that have been involved with the Founders Institute that not everyone makes it to graduation. What are some of the reasons why startups end up dropping off?
The program is intense, and they push you and they give you a lot of homework, and you are supposed to incorporate your company during the program. So if you take it easily and do it part-time, then it's probably would be hard for you to get to the graduation point. But it's actually for those who manage to get through, it's worth it, I think.
And what was the most important part of it for you?
For us, it was building the network because we were new to Berlin, and we wanted to get to know other people, and it was an amazing thing. But at the same time, getting feedback from all the mentors, it's actually super helpful. And pitching, they basically every session you would learn how to pitch and pitch it to hundreds of people.
I
It's a good
imagine
experience.
there's been a lot of pitches you've done and probably a lot more in your future still. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, in Berlin, this is known to be around Germany, sort of the biggest, the most intense startup community. Can you tell us some of the other bits of the Berlin startup community you appreciate having for you, and maybe what some first-time founders should know about the Berlin startup community?
Oh, hard question,
It's a
actually.
big
It's
question.
honestly, well, as I said, we love Berlin and we think it's very international and easy, um, easy in a way of communicating between people. So it's easy to meet people and easy to communicate with people, and it's quite unique, I find. And for first-time founders, actually, going through Founder Institute would probably be a good idea.
Oh,
At
Ferdinand's going to
least,
love
at
that.
least very quickly, within 3 months, you would realize if you're up to it or not.
The Founders Institute for you was not just useful in building your network and getting your startup ready. It was also good so you could see if you're actually up to this challenge.
Um, for us, it was less of this because we were not first-time founders. So
Okay.
actually, we have been through it before. But for a lot of first-time founders, it's definitely a good exercise.
Okay. Let's talk more about your idea now and the company that you've built, CoolBeez. So, first, let me make sure that I understand your business model correctly, and then you can fill in some of the details. So, I have a charity and I sign up on CoolBeez. Then I get a link. I give that to all of my members. Now, when my members want to go and shop online, they click on that link, they land on CoolBeez, and they can choose a retailer, let's say Amazon. They click on the link to Amazon and then they just shop like normal. So the rest of the experience is just a normal, everyday shopping on Amazon. What happens after that for the charities?
So basically, our solution allows charities to get cashbacks from online shopping. And on average, we're able to generate about 5% cashback from the shopping amount of their supporters. We actually did some calculations, and according to our data, one community member is able to generate about um, €8 per month for her charity, which is actually quite important if you think about it. If you have 100 people who support you, and it would be like €800 a month, or if you have 1,000. Actually, some of our nonprofits have communities in social networks of 10, 20,000 people. Of course, not all of them are shopping, but with active communities, we're talking about meaningful amounts. And so basically, if you run a nonprofit or if you volunteer or support community project, you can create a fundraiser page on CoolBeez. It's several 5 easy steps. It takes minutes to set up. And then, yes, you can use this page as a gateway for shopping, but also actually much more than just sharing the link to this page. You can create product recommendations. So basically, in our solution, nonprofits also act like influencers. So they can create product recommendations and share these specific recommendations. And then their supporters can buy exactly what is needed. And on top of it, generate the cash back.
Now that I have to say I did not know, and I think that is absolutely brilliant because one of the biggest problems I know I have had is trying to figure out which product to buy when there is a lot of choice and I don't want to sort through all of the information myself.
Exactly. And actually, we have several shops catering for that connected. And for dog shelters in particular, it's after COVID, it's very important issue right now just to survive. So what is good about our solution is that actually you don't need to ask your donors for money. You're just asking them for goodwill to support you, and it's few extra clicks, cost zero to your supporters, and you can generate some meaningful amounts that help you maybe to survive extra weeks or months.
I'm already thinking of a couple of charities that I'm going to send this to. Uh, now
Thank you.
let's no problem there. Let's talk about how much the charities get off of each purchase. So you said between 3 and 5%.
Yes, actually, yes, that's right. On average, about 5%. Yeah.
Okay, so there are other organizations that have a similar scheme like yours, like Amazon Smile. Some people might be familiar with that. It's basically the same idea: is you go on Amazon, you choose a charity, and a percentage gets sent to that charity of whatever you buy. Can you give us an idea of how a benchmark like Amazon Smile compares with how much you're getting for these charities?
Amazon Smile was a very good program from Amazon, and they ran it for about 10 years. They were generating 0.5% cashbacks for their supporters. And actually, they shut down the program in the end of February, so there is no more Amazon Smile. So, which actually left a lot of charities who are looking for a replacement.
Yeah, so but this is important, I think, is Amazon Smile was giving 0.5% back, and you're giving 3 to 5%, which is a big step change for a lot of charities. And I'm sure they're very much going to appreciate you stepping in to fill that hole that Amazon Smile is leaving. Let's talk about that a little bit more now. So, what are your plans then to step in and help out the charities that now are going to have a big hole in their fundraising by Amazon Smile shutting down?
As I said, there are about 1 million charities, ex-Amazon Smile charities, who are looking for replacements, primarily in the US and UK. And it's an easy pitch. So we do similar thing, but with much higher cashbacks, and not only with Amazon. So actually, our big difference also, we're working with a lot of other online shops, and we are connecting shops directly. We actually built integrations with popular e-commerce engines, and we have a plugin for Shopify shops. So actually, it's possible. The options with us are much bigger than just with one shop.
That's right. Amazon was just one store, although I guess it's one store
Big
with
one.
a really, really big store.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what all of these charities are? Like, do you know who they are? Do you have a big list? Do you need to approach them each individually, or is the way of bringing them to you? Like, what is your plan of attack?
Well, I wouldn't call it attack, but obviously it's our
No, not a nonprofit.
obviously it's our big go-to-market plan for this year, and it's important for us. So yes, we are going through the charities who have been clients of Amazon Smile, and we are contacting them. And obviously, there are ways how you can make this process more efficient, because one by one personal contact is probably could take us many years. Yeah, there is a lot of work to do, but it's very clear and good opportunity, and we're on it.
Do you know how much competition there is to grab these charities that were once on Amazon Smile?
There are the competition. The type of competition that we know is like other charity shopping sites, but the main difference would be that most of them would work through Amazon Smile. So now they have no Amazon, and also mostly they are all working through affiliate aggregators, which means that they plug in into popular aggregator like, for example, Evin, Trade Doubler, and they would instantly get access to a lot of shops, but there would be an intermediary in between. And again, they would not work with Amazon directly. We approached it from different angle, and the way how we came to this idea was different. So actually, the way how we're doing it allows to generate maximum possible commissions.
Sure. So cutting out the middleman allows you to give more to the charities. This is why your percentage is so high.
Yes, and also direct integrations. As I said, for example, for Shopify, we have our plugin in the App Store, and they can set it up directly.
The last thing I want to really drill down on is this idea of what you said as charities acting as influencers on your platform. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how is this developing?
Well, actually, a lot of nonprofits who work with us, they are smaller size nonprofits, and they would not have their full-time marketing department who would be doing a lot of things. So actually, we help them. We often hold their hands and help them to work on this. But obviously, influencer recommendations are very powerful and allows you to get very good results. So with us, as I said, for example, you can put together wish lists of the products, specific products that your nonprofit needs. And for animal shelters, it could be a list of specific products for dogs. With parent groups, the teacher can put together the list of specific supplies or books or arts or whatever the kids need, parents need to buy for their kids. With social non-profits who are helping refugees, they can again put together the list of specific products that are needed, blankets, food, whatever. And with these recommendations, actually, it's very easy for supporters to click and buy what is needed. And on top of it, there will be a cashback.
How international are you going? Are you only operating inside of Germany right now in the Dachraum, or are you worldwide?
Our solution is global, and currently we have clients, charities, and their communities in Germany, Italy, UK, US, France. Um, with some shops like Booking.com or Amazon, it's global. You can be in Australia or Chile and click and generate the cashback. So it's actually easier. And yeah, with the global economy, actually, we think of it as a global.
And if you have one thing that you want to tell charities that will help them survive this global downturn in economics and everything, what would you suggest to them aside from coming to your platform?
Um, Well, actually, it's a hard time now because we talk to charities all the time, and with current economy, a lot of them are actually having difficulties coping with the new demand. But at the same time, the good thing is that we see a lot of philanthropic mood with the young generation in particular, and a lot of them are actually willing to do something good and to support. Often they lack cash. So actually a solution like ours is a good thing to show you, to make some impact and to show some goodwill and to do something good without actually donating money. And in terms of advice, well, a lot of charities, they have volunteers doing such a great job, and it's amazing how these people really able to go from one day to another. And we just hope that they continue doing it, and all of us are able to support them as much as possible.
Okay. So it sounds like two bits of advice. One is leverage younger generations because they're willing to put in effort, even if they don't have money for you. And number two, take care of your volunteers because they're the ones taking care of you.
Yes.
All right. So that brings us to our game. Galia, are you ready to play win, lose, or draw?
Yeah.
Here we go. So the first one, win, lose, or draw. CoolBeez joining another accelerator or multiplier organization to help rocket ship your startup to the next level.
Win. It's a good idea, and we are considering it. Obviously, we have big plans to grow, and we can benefit from experiencing and dealing with advisors and mentors who can give some advice.
Next one, win, lose, or draw. Philanthropy taking a big hit during this economic downturn. Do you think this is going to happen?
Well, as I say, and this is based on our hundreds of conversations with people, we see a lot of goodwill from people, and especially from younger generation who actually want to support. To give you an example, for example, my daughter at school, they would have sometimes wish for their birthdays that he would donate some money for some charities or help with something. So actually, I think that a lot of people are willing to help and are willing to do good, but often they lack tools or they don't know the ways. And
Okay,
yeah.
so philanthropy taking a hit is a loser in your mind because there's so much goodwill out there.
Well, maybe I'm lucky with my personal network, but in my network, I see a lot of people who are actually trying to do good.
This is probably a good moment to sort of take a step back, and even if there is an economic downturn, there is still a lot of money sloshing around in the economy. So maybe the message here is if you're a charity, don't get discouraged just because it's an economic downturn. There's still a lot of people willing to help.
Well, actually, a small thing I can add is that annual marketing budget globally is like 300 billion.
So go
Yeah,
get some of that.
you.
Okay, good stuff. Last one. Win, lose, or draw. Germany becoming a center for impact focused startups in the future.
Win. And actually, we see that in general, Germany, I think, is impact oriented. In again, in general terms, there are a lot of things happening and a lot of projects. And if we are looking at startups in particular who are impact oriented, Germany is actually probably a good country for them to be in. We see, especially with climate oriented impact startups, we see a lot of them actually getting good traction in Germany.
Yeah, I would have to say I'm seeing the same thing. There are a lot of startups I'm seeing out there that are impact driven. And actually, you are the second, and we've already got a third on the way of startups that we've interviewed that could be called impact driven. So this is a great trend. This is a really encouraging trend to watch. So thank you very much. That was Win, Lose, or Draw. And that brings us to the end of our episode. So Galia, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was really enlightening and very encouraging. I'm leaving this episode with a really good feeling.
Thank you, Timo. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you, and it's a pleasure.
Pleasure was all mine. Then we'll check back in with you a little bit further down the road and see how much of that big Amazon Smile pie you managed to get. Thank you for joining us this week. Next week, we continue with our Impact Startup Mini-Series. Dr. Christopher Schäuble is going to take us through how his company, CoolBeez, is reshaping German ESG. Be sure to join us on our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. See you next week.